Welcome to a nourishing midweek lunch hour conversation with Spokane's newsmakers, thought leaders, and popular entertainers. Spokane Talks Live is brought to you by our friends at Homes for You and Breakthrough Incorporated. Welcome to Spokane Talks Live. Welcome to Spokane Talks Live. Hope you're having a good day. What is today? The 28th of March. Can you believe we're finishing the first quarter? We're getting into April next week, and we have a surprise for you because I've got a guest host who's going to sit in next Wednesday. He's about 18 years old, but acts like he's about 36, okay, if that gives you an idea. Yeah, it's Colin Pittman. We're going to have some fun next week, and we've got some great programs. But let's talk about today. Today, our guests are going to be some great topics and some great people. Jenny Graham, who decided to kind of step up and run for the 6th Legislative District to replace Jeff Holy, who we've had on, who's going to run for state senate here in the 6th District. Larry Haskell, Spokane County Prosecutor. And we recorded that early this morning because he had to be out at Freeman today, so we'll play that in the second segment. And then back with Kathy Boykin with the Call Before You Dig, the 811, and it's getting to the season where the mud is drying and it's time to start digging up the yard and there's safety involved. We'll be right back. Next on Spokane Talks Live.
For the Inland Northwest most comprehensive sports report, think outside the porch with spokesman.com. For just 99 cents for the first month, you'll enjoy unlimited digital access to the news and sports news that affect you most. From EWU to WSU, from Northwest Preps all the way to the Seahawks, we're the local authority that makes sports in the Inland Northwest different than the rest, better than the rest. On your phone, on your desktop, and on your tablet. Subscribe to the digital experience with spokesman.com.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
Well, welcome back. It's spring. It's time to have spring-like weather. Jenny, you were out there. You just came in. What's it like out there? I'm going to ask you to move just forward a little bit so we can hear your voice. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
The weather's is nice. I'm so excited that we're starting to get the warmer weather.
Yeah.
We have tulips that are coming up in the yard, and
lilacs coming in another month or two.
Exactly.
It's like we're the lilac city or something.
I know.
Introduce you, Jenny Graham. You've been a cosmetologist. Am I saying it right?
Cosmetologist,
and
esthetician.
In the Army?
And in the Army.
Okay.
Army Reserves.
Army Reserves. And you've decided to step up and put your political hat on. Is that scary or fun? Are you looking forward to it?
It's exciting. It's a path I've been on for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And this is the best time in my life for me to be doing this.
Well, we need somebody much prettier than Jeff in that spot, and I go back and know Jeff for a long time. You mentioned you've been on that path for a while because that now takes us back to how you kind of got into the political side of things and working with the state legislature and so forth. Tell us that story. What happened, and where are we now?
Okay, gladly. This path started for me quite a number of years ago when I became interested about the state legislature following a tragedy that happened in our family.
Ooh, okay.
My little sister, Deborah, was murdered by the Green River serial killer, Gary Ridgway.
Yes.
And those murders not only affected our family, but the community as a whole.
Oh, absolutely.
And really left me asking the questions, why?
Yeah.
Why did this happen? And I've spent years of my life tracking down those answers, trying to make sense of things. And
can you ever, though?
You know, I can answer that.
Okay.
We need a longer conversation.
Okay, all right. Well,
I have the answers to those questions.
We'll do that sometime, yeah.
Yes. There are answers.
Yeah.
And as I discovered those answers, it dawned on me that not only did those answers have to do with the culmination of my sister being murdered and my brother committing suicide because he couldn't handle everything.
Okay.
It also culminated in Gary Ridgway becoming what he became, one of the world's most prolific serial killers.
Yes. I remember my friend Mike Fitzsimmons covering a lot of that story way back when on the radio. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was something that was surreal.
When it wasn't just a Spokane or a Washington story, it was a national story, wasn't it?
It actually went worldwide.
Yeah, right.
So as I worked to understand and find the answers, and I realized that there was a common theme, which was child abuse in not only our family, but Ridgway's family as well.
Right.
I started to really dig into the laws and found that for some victims, the current law that was on the books denied some victims a fair hand in our justice system.
Because it limited the time period they could report it and get action on it.
Well, they literally, in most cases, had to report it within a year. And the law did not take into consideration when a victim was in a situation where their life was threatened, or they weren't in a safe place where they could tell.
Yeah, keep it to yourself until you feel comfortable enough.
Right.
And that could be years,
well, they didn't
decades.
They didn't have a choice. And what I ended up finding was nobody talks to children about statutes of limitations.
Yeah.
And when the help isn't there, they do not have the opportunity to do anything about it. And then when they grow to be adults, well, you should have been here yesterday.
Yeah.
And that wasn't right. So I decided to take that on and do something to make it fair.
Okay.
So I started going to legislators and educating them about the subject and why this was unfair.
Right.
And how we might possibly be able to fix this. So with the legislators, we started working together. We were able to bring on law enforcement on board and also prosecutors to not only work on that law but improve it. And
what was their immediate response? Was it I don't understand it, or it's just kind of out of sight, hasn't come up, or I mean, where were they coming from?
Well, I think there was some work for about 8 years before I came into the picture to try to change it.
But nobody ever pushed it hard enough to
and it was hard.
Yeah.
That's why. I mean, I was asking the question, why hasn't somebody done this sooner? And I found as I worked on this, it's because it was really hard.
Yeah.
It took a lot of organizing skills, and I didn't have a boss above me saying, do this, do this. I had to be self-directed, and I had to figure out a way to think outside the box and get people to work together.
Well, in the meantime, you have to make a living and everything else, too.
Exactly.
I mean
full-time mother and...
Yeah, welcome to life.
Exactly.
Life gets in the way, doesn't
it?
Yeah. Okay, so obviously you come with that background and expertise, and you moved things forward, and the law changed?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
April 19th. 2013.
All right.
Governor Inslee signed it into law. And it's one that's fair. It's one that we can live with.
Right.
Which was what I was after.
Yeah. So you have that, obviously that's going to continue to be of interest to you because it's in your DNA. I mean, it's just part of who you are. Okay?
Justice, yes.
What other issues do you see as you look now from the outside, because sometimes it's a lot easier looking from the outside and take shots at things, if you will. What are some of the things that we need to look at as you look at being our 6th district representative?
Wow, that's actually an exciting subject. I have been reviewing the topics that the legislature was working on. There's a whole list.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot. And I am absolutely doing everything that I can to become proficient in the issues, to understand them. There are some issues that are current in the legislature that they were working on. One is human trafficking.
Yes.
That is
like when the Jonah Project here in town and others that are really working on. It's scary.
Right.
When you start to dig into what's going on,
right.
Isn't it? I mean, it really is.
Right.
To think that our kids or our grandkids, in my case, could be caught up in something.
That's
like
right,
that,
and it's
you know?
that human trafficking's increasing, which
Yeah.
is definitely cause for concern.
Absolutely.
But it's also, I think, I've seen I have seen progress, because I know when my sister first disappeared, she was barely 15 years old. She wasn't old enough to work. She wasn't old enough to
okay.
drive. How was she supposed to survive?
Right.
And not only that, when children like her who were at risk and, exploited children,
Right.
when or if they were arrested, oftentimes they weren't seen as a victim.
Okay.
Okay,
Good point.
they were seen as the criminal.
Yeah.
And because of a lot of the work that's happened over, I don't know, the last 20 years for sure, things are starting to shift. They're starting to shift where they recognize that there's a, that's exactly what it is. It's
Right.
trafficking. It's human slavery. It's not a choice
No.
in the majority of cases. And they're not criminals. Oftentimes, for somebody to get out of that lifestyle, there's very little help to try to help them get their lives turned around and live get out of that lifestyle and start living a healthy life and having a happy family and moving on from that horror story.
Yeah, yeah. You've got one declared opponent, Dave Wilson. I have to get it right. Getting his name right and getting his party affiliation can be a challenge, because I know he's run before as an independent. Apparently he's running as a Democrat now. I haven't checked in the last couple of days. That could have changed. Do you expect to have other challenges out there, or do you think?
It's possible.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, my focus is on the future.
Right.
I'm focusing on what are the issues that we're facing, and what are solutions that are possible. That is one of the things that intrigues me. I'm somebody that likes to look into issues, problems, and trying to figure out solutions for
Where
what
did
those
you learn
problems.
that? Where did that come from? Lots of practice,
Yeah,
apparently.
lots of being a mom. Does that count?
That more than counts, okay? That more than count. That covers so much, everything from accounting to you name
Exactly.
it, right? Yeah. Welcome to life. Oh, that is so true. I admire my wife because she covers it all. Our oldest boy is Down syndrome, so we've lived with the challenges there. He just turned 48, and so she's been pretty much a stay-at-home mom, but she's done other kinds of things. But she's the one that's got it all figured out. I just go to work and have fun. So,
Yeah, and the people that have Down syndrome.
Yeah.
My husband and I have been ski coaches
Ooh.
for Spokane Parks and Rec for the developmentally disabled.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I have to tell you that working with those students
Yeah.
has and is one of the most rewarding things that we've ever done. It's fun.
Yeah.
If they're always looking for coaches.
My son has done about everything, basketball, track, you name it, over the years. He's never done the skiing thing, but he's done most of the other things over the years. Now being 48, is not as active as he used to be, although he bowls, and people will almost send a taxi to get him because he bowls so well. But he loves that. In fact, he's doing that. Today's Wednesday. He's doing that today. He has lunch at the bowling alley and then bowls with his buddies and so forth. And it's great. And those of you who step out to help teach and monitor and everything else, hats off to you, because they all come back with a great experience. It really is.
They do.
Yeah.
And the neatest part about it is it's not just limited to that. I am absolutely in awe about another program that they offer for people that are blind
Yes.
and deaf and paraplegics that they're able to go up there and ski. That is...
Well, and you think about all of that. Kathy McMorris and I had a conversation about 8 years ago, and I mentioned to her that at that time my son was going to turn 40, and he's Down syndrome, and she looked at me like, her first comment was, it was a little different then, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yes, because 95% of the kids, maybe even more, were institutionalized. The question pointed to us was, which institution? Not whether you're going to put him in an institution or take him home. We took him home. But it was kind of out of the box. And you think about the opportunities today. how they're so well accepted.
Yes.
You know, and what was it, the Gerber baby or whatever it is this year is a Downs. I mean,
Oh, I hadn't seen that.
I mean,
That's-
it's finally they're part of society. And I remember when he graduated from high school, LC, he got a rousing applause from the rest of his students there.
What a
you know,
happy, proud day.
and that would not have happened 45
Right.
years ago. It just plain wouldn't. So,
Right.
so thank you for what you do there. We got to move on to Larry. And before we do that, how can people learn more about you and get in touch with you and your campaign?
There, we have a website.
Okay.
www.
You got to have a website, all right? I mean,
Yes. Well, and we're just starting.
Oh, yeah,
so
sure.
I've been working on getting out there, getting known,
Right.
learning about issues.
Right.
But the website that I have is www.votegram.gop.
okay.
And I have been getting out and being involved in the community,
Right.
meeting people, listening to
And there's
what they
only
have
gonna
on
be
their
more of
mind.
that.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm ready for that. I'm
Yeah.
excited. I love to meet people. And so this is absolutely no doubt in my mind exactly what I
Well,
was
good
meant
for
to
you.
do.
I admire people. I, for a brief moment, thought of doing something like this 25, 30 years ago, and someone knocked sense into my head. So, and I'm too old for it now. But I admire people who are willing to walk from the private sector, whether it be from home or work or a combination of all that, and to give some time, because you're not well paid for it, to give some time to
Money's
lead.
not the issue.
No, that's for sure. Whether it be locally or statewide or whatever, to step up. And I love the idea of a citizen legislator. And I really think that's important that we do it for a number of years and then move on and let others come in with new ideas. You're going to bring some new ideas.
Absolutely.
And I think that is so refreshing. And even though you'll have to work, a little bit with Jeff still and so forth.
Jeff's
Mike
awesome.
Volz. Mike Volz is a good guy.
And Mike.
And
I know
Mike.
them both well.
Yeah. So good people. You're in my district, so I guess I get to vote for you.
Oh, thank
you. But thank you for coming in. We're going to have you back when we start to do the series called Meet the Candidate, where we do
Great.
10-minute segments with Sulani, and you'll get an invitation on that once everyone is registered and all of that,
Okay.
for which is in May, I think, third week or fourth week of May or something like that. So soon after you'll get an invitation, and we invite everybody on. But thank you. Nice to meet you. All right.
Very nice to meet you,
Interesting
too.
story. Wish you the best of luck.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with the Spokane County Prosecutor right after this.
Welcome to Tom Sawyer Country Coffee.
Tom Sawyer Country Coffee only roasts the finest organic coffee for our signature blends. Enjoy a cup at our coffee shop and local businesses and organizations across the region.
I'm Tom Sawyer and we choose the Pacific Northwest.
Last year alone, Avista customers saved over 53 million kilowatt hours of energy. Enough to power more than 4,000 homes for an entire year. Way to save, everyone. Way to save. Find your way to save at avistautilities.com.
What? You haven't been to the library lately? Stop in today and see that the library is more than books. Spokane County Library District facilities feature on-site technology, including Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, as well as free use of meeting rooms. The Library District offers events and programs for all ages, from story times to career development and employer classes to Social Security workshops. Our staff is well trained and happy to help. Find out more about your library at scld.org. Welcome back to Spokane Talks Live. I'm really pleased. Sometimes, in fact, most of the time, I get to have friends come in and people I respect. And there's this gentleman, Larry Haskell, who is finishing his first term as Spokane County Prosecutor. On the notes to my producer, I did a typo and I said Spokane Country. So he said, "Did you just give Larry a raise?" It's correct.
Spokane Country.
Yeah,
All right.
But anyway, I remember 4 years ago, almost this time, when you were up at Boomer Radio with us and talking about what needed to be done and how to enforce the law and prosecute it and all of that. I have to tell you, Larry, I was very impressed. And here's a guy that has got it together and makes sense. And so I'm glad to have you here. I know you're running for a second term. We'll get that part out of the way. And you've announced and you have your formal kickoff when?
On April 11th, we'll be over at the Flour Mill in the Chateau Reeve at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock in the morning?
No, that's where the late risers.
Okay. Someone has to work during the day, right?
Correct.
Larry, you know, there are a lot of things going on, and perhaps one of the hot topics of so many people, because it's affecting so many, is the property crime issue these days. And I know Ozzie from a county position and Craig Meidel from the police in Spokane City and so forth are working hard on it. But, you know, that's fine to arrest them, but it comes what's next. Right. And how do we help cut that back?
Well, we've been trying to use all the tools in the kit, if you will, that the legislature gives us. We're very concerned about the fact that the data that we get shows that a lot of the property crime is fueled in part by drug-related issues.
I was guessing that's what you were going to say.
Absolutely, and so we're always looking to afford people an opportunity to get treatment. We have sentencing alternatives that we can use for those that would otherwise be doing straight prison time.
Right.
They're called drug offender sentencing alternatives. There's also the drug court. We make over 500 drug court offers to offenders a year, particularly at the lower level, where our goal is to try to prevent them from becoming
going further.
Chronic property offenders. If you can address the drug issue early, there are some institutional impediments to that in terms of the defense lawyer's role. They get in there and they say, well, you know, here's your options, and generally speaking, and this shouldn't come as any surprise, normally the defendants will take the easiest way out, whatever the easiest way is. Often it's a quick plea, credit for time served, because they don't have an offender score built up.
Probably something to get back out on the streets, too.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly right. So we try to get them into drug treatment early, and then if they continue to offend, then we'll put them in the prison-based alternatives. We are going to open up the drug court to some additional offenders here, and we're going to call it a post-conviction drug court, where they're going to actually plead straight up to the crimes, and if they actually graduate from the drug court, then they will receive a exceptional downward to credit for time served because they completed. And if they fail, then we will be before a judge again, and we'll be recommending a standard range sentence for them back to the prison, where we will still try to get them treated. But as I said in my previous campaign, they're going to have the department supervising them, and they won't be out in the community at that point.
And to me, as a father, and really a grandfather with from 5-year-olds to 18-year-olds, and the security of our own house and so forth, that's what worries me, is that they're back out making their next neighborhood hit.
That's exactly right.
You know?
And that's why I promised we would aggressively prosecute the chronic property offenders, those that have had these opportunities that you and I are talking about, but they still haven't seen a reason to change their ways. So the unfortunate thing is property crime sentences are generally lower to start with because they're not violent offenses.
Right. But they often lead to more aggressive crimes, right?
No one knows that better than us.
Yeah, I'll bet. You've been criticized a couple of times, I've seen it, about being too tough on with the drug court and other things, and at some point saying you've had enough chances. How many chances does one get? Talk about why you do that.
Well, again, first of all, I believe that you use every tool.
Okay.
It is the experience of not only my office, but also I've heard testimony at committee hearings for the legislature from persons from the Department of Corrections that say that the treatment-only model does not work. And we need look no further away than Idaho to find out that that they actually use the tools as I recommend that we do, and I've been advocating. So you do take a little bit of criticism for that, but if you look across the board at the record, we're offering treatment opportunities to those early offenders. We're offering treatment in prison for those moderate offenders, and sometimes when they burn through every opportunity, it's going to be straight prison. And that is a tool that I do know this: they will commit no burglaries, no car prowls, and no vehicle thefts if they're with the Department of Corrections. And sometimes that's the only alternative, reasonable
It's their
alternative
choice.
that we have.
It really is. I mean, it's their choice
It
to
is.
start with in terms of committing a crime. But it sounds to me like you're giving plenty of opportunities and so forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the things that we all worry about today, and I, in talking with Ozzy and others in crime-related things and just government, period, is the whole staffing issue. How is the Spokane County Prosecutor's Office doing in terms of staffing? Are you where you need to be? Do you need more? I know in conversations in the past you've talked about your people work their off to make it work. But where are we? Because if we don't have enough enforcement out in the community and enough prosecution, we're not solving a lot of it. So how's that working from your standpoint as chief of everything there?
Well, you never have enough resources, but I would say this. We are below the level that we were in 2009 in terms of prosecuting attorneys. When we took the major across-the-board cuts. The whole county took the sheriff.
Because of the county budget, right?
Correct.
Right.
So we're not up to that. We're very busy. I could use a couple more attorneys. We are trying to strengthen our position in the domestic violence area.
Okay.
I did take one extra person, and I say extra, it's not in a literal sense, but someone who didn't need it as bad as domestic violence unit, and I put another felony deputy prosecuting attorney there, but we could use another one or two deputy prosecutors in the property unit because that's an area of emphasis. It's we're high ranked in the country. We're high ranked here in the city, also in the nation for vehicle related problems. So we're getting by. And we will work with whatever resources that we're given, but I will tell you that
welcome to the real world. We all in private business or government.
Exactly.
We all have limited resources.
Yeah.
Larry, one of the things that impresses me since the day I met you about 4 years ago, and what you've done the last 4 years, is that it would be very easy. I've been to your office over there, to sit in your nice office, not plush, I can tell you that.
No.
Okay, it's
County.
No $31,000 dining table in there, but it's a working office. Clearly, it is. Your whole area there is a working office. But what impresses me the most is it would be very easy to stay in there and operate things from your desk, or walk around and tap people on the shoulder and, hey, Phil and Fred and so forth, how you doing, and so forth, and play that role. And I'm sure there are others that do that in all kinds of businesses, not just government.
Sure.
But you take on cases, and you're in 3 cases now, you mentioned before we started. Why? What does that do for you personally and for the prosecutor's office?
Well, I can tell you, Kent, I made a series of promises to the public that were published on my webpage 4 years ago.
Don't tell me you came through with them.
I look at them every day.
I don't know that that's allowed for politicians, Larry.
I found that it's the most frequent complaint of people is that they put people in elected positions. They give up the only thing they have, their sacred vote, and then the people that they put there do something else. So one of the promises I made was that I would go to court, albeit on a limited basis, but it should not be an event to see the elected prosecutor in court. So I did a very serious 6-week murder trial, triple homicide back in late 2016, and right now I have 3 cases on my plate, and I'm doing it with co-counsel because for the more serious cases, I made it an office policy that we have a minimum of 2 attorneys on there. So I am prosecuting along with another deputy the Freeman shooting down in South County. Also a double homicide.
And you know that's going to get coverage.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, and rightfully so. It's
Right.
it's a significant event. I'm also prosecuting the double homicide that occurred a couple years ago out in the valley. A woman, it was DV related, and her brother were murdered out there. And then
Right.
I'm also prosecuting the more recent violent assault and rape out at the Senex Zip Trip in the valley that occurred a few months ago.
Right. Well, of course, you're going to spill all of the tactics right here so that the opposing counsel will know, right?
Oh, I wouldn't give up anything, and there's good rules for that too.
I know. I'm just giving you a
Sure.
bad time. Larry, I almost said August. April 11th is your kickoff.
Correct.
At
Yes.
5 o'clock in the evening after work. If people want to come, how can they get in touch with you for that?
Well, there's a couple different ways. My cell phone is published. We also have a Facebook page, Re-elect
Okay.
Larry Haskell, and there's a link
Okay.
to that. And that's through Eventbrite. And then we also have our campaign website, which is www.votehaskell.com. And there's also a link to the event there. And there's also a campaign email that if they hit the contact us button, I can directly communicate with anybody that wants to attend or volunteer or get other information about what we're doing.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for coming. We're actually, for those that are watching right now, we're recording this ahead of time because you have a full business day today.
I'm headed down to Freeman today.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking of freedom, my son and his family just moved out, and that's where they're going to be sending their kids next year.
All
so
right.
I have a particular interest as we move forward here that what you're going to talk to them about. You're going to meet with the board, right?
Yes, I'll be down there talking to school officials today.
Good, good. Thank you for all you
Yeah,
do, Larry.
thank you.
All right, good to know you.
Pleasure to talk to
All
you.
right, we'll take
Thanks
a quick
very
break.
much.
We'll be right back.
Welcome to Tom Sawyer Country Coffee.
Tom Sawyer Country Coffee only roasts the finest organic coffee for our signature blends. Enjoy a cup at our coffee shop and local businesses and organizations across the region.
I'm Tom Sawyer, and we choose the Pacific Northwest.
Last year alone, Avista customers saved over 53 million kilowatt hours of energy. Enough to power more than 4,000 homes for an entire year. Way to save, everyone. Way to save. Find your way to save at avistautilities.com.
What? You haven't been to the library lately? Stop in today and see that the library is more than books. Spokane County Library District facilities feature on-site technology, including Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, as well as free use of meeting rooms. The Library District offers events and programs for all ages, from story times to career development and employer classes to Social Security workshops. Our staff is well trained and happy to help. Find out more about your library at scld.org. Welcome back to Spokane Talks Live. Kent Adams. We've had a couple of interesting guests so far, and then we get to have one of my favorites, Kathy Boykin. How are you?
I'm very good.
Haven't seen you since like last September, October.
Something like that,
Something
yes.
like that.
Yeah, this-
And the reason is you're with Call Before You Dig,
Yes.
otherwise known as 811. You happen to have the.
I do.
We're going to have to get you to start wearing a color though with a black background here,
Oh,
because
sure. I've been just blending in
Yeah,
there.
you are.
Yes.
No,
That's all right.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And number one, thank you for supporting what we do and being a sponsor and all of that, because it is an important message to get out.
It is.
And here we are, the last couple of days of March going into April, which is kind of the traditional kickoff of I can clean up my yard, I can think about putting in the fence, I can do
is.
those kinds of things. Whether you do it yourself or you bring in a contractor, either way, someone needs to call
Absolutely.
811, right?
Yes.
And we talk about, it's not just to be bureaucratic or anything else, it's about safety.
Yes, it is.
Because you and I both know, you better than I, how many jobs get stopped out there because someone has dug into something they shouldn't. And not only does it stop the job, but it could be fatal if they dig
It
into the
has
wrong
been.
thing. Yeah, it has been. So talk about, let's first talk about Call Before You Dig and the 811, and how people can get in touch and what the process is.
Okay.
Let's walk them through that process.
Okay. So the process is, if you're a homeowner or you're a contractor, then you want to determine where it is that you're going to be digging,
Right.
and you want to mark it with white paint. That's
Okay.
per the law, actually. And
Okay.
then you either call 811 or you go online and go to, and where you can put in your own ticket, actually.
Okay.
And you put the information that's asked for in there to do it. And then you're told one way or another the utilities that are at that location
Okay.
and who will come and mark for you. You know,
Now, those are the utilities that phone and gas and electric and water have put in. But over the years,
Yes.
the previous owners, or even you yourself as an owner, might have put that line in out to the garage
Yes.
so you can
Yep.
have power out there or whatever.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they won't know about that, will
No,
they?
they will not, and they will not locate it either. So here's
Yeah.
our little brochure, and if you go on our website,
I'm going to ask you to hold it up. Perfect.
www.ieucc811.org. This brochure is there, and it really shows you what's
Okay.
going on. So the dotted lines are your lines that you have put in or someone
Yes.
else put there, but the utilities didn't. You know,
Right,
so
right.
those you're going to need to look for yourself and have them marked if you don't want to dig them up. But
Yeah, now my son just bought a house out in Valley Ford and all of that, and so he and the electric company and everybody else kind of know what they've put in, but he might have some surprises from the previous owner or owners.
He could.
And so, what do you do in that case? Do you go back and try to contact them if they haven't left any information?
that would be a good start,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
There are companies in town, and they're in the phone book, American Leak Detection, Utilities Plus, a couple other ones like that. They will come, but they will charge you,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they'll give you a little, from what I understand, they'll give you a little map of what they have found.
So that service is available
It
out
is,
there, right?
uh-huh.
The service from the utility companies, though, is free.
It's free to homeowners doing the work themselves.
Right.
There is a charge for contractors because we've always had contractor members. So it either
right.
comes as a little minimal charge, or it comes because they pay dues up front and they want to have a lot to say about what's going on
Right,
within
right.
the membership of the council.
Now, we don't have contractors that fail to check with 811, do we? I'm not going to ask for names, but that does happen, doesn't it?
It does happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
We've
it's-
actually had some on the program before, haven't
Yes,
we?
we have. Mhm. Yes, we have.
And
So-
we called them out on it, didn't we?
We did.
I think off air, but still.
It was. It was an
And it's-
interesting
and-
moment.
And it's for their safety and the safety of the homeowner.
It is.
It's really what it comes down
Yeah.
to. I mean, do you want your grandkids playing out there because you've
Yeah.
dug into a power line and
Yeah.
nothing has happened then,
Yeah.
but it might later
Yeah.
when your kids are out there with the
Yeah.
pool and, I mean, come on. We're a couple of months away from the filing for the political campaign year. Here we go again. And we have this discussion every year. There are some do's and don'ts for campaigns because we all want to put
Yes.
those signs in our yards, and maybe even worse, we want to put them around town everywhere too. What can we and can we not do?
Well, homeowners can put the signs in for the candidates if they'd like to.
In their
if
own
they're not
place.
in their own place on their own yard. This is the same for sale and for rent signs.
Okay.
They can't go any deeper than 12 inches, but they can put them in without calling.
Okay.
But the real estate and the candidates that are for elections of different kind, they are supposed to be calling. It says in the law, signs,
right.
and so many of them are putting them in with rebar. And
I was going to say, you
There's-
look at some of these larger signs
Yeah,
out there.
yeah.
They've got the rebar. They've got to be going down a couple of
Yeah.
feet.
Right now, there is a complaint process within the state that is being asked to look at some of these things. So
Okay.
you get your sign out there with your name on it, and there's no marks on the ground around it, you might find you're being asked to visit with this. And the fine is $1,000, whether that breaks your budget or not.
And I was going to say, for some candidates and some
Yeah.
offices, $1,000 is a lot.
Yeah.
$1,000 is a billboard for a month, to give it some perspective,
Yes,
right?
it is. Yes, and if you just drive around town yourself, you can see the gas line signs that are like Argonne and Trent. You can
Yeah.
see the posts that are
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And invariably,
They go somewhere.
they go somewhere, and there's campaign signs there too.
Yeah, yeah.
With rebar, and it's like, whoa. Well, lucky for a
Okay.
moment, So
Okay, maybe
Yeah.
maybe that's a job for some young person to go out there during the summertime if they could get paid, per find and report them, they could make some good money, couldn't they?
Well, the state's going to get the money, but
Yeah.
you know, it's interesting anyway. So I have a proclamation to read here, if you don't mind.
What's the state legislature and governor up to?
The governor has made this proclamation, and it says, whereas April marks the start of the spring digging season for homeowners, landscapers, and construction companies. And whereas failure to locate underground utilities before digging results in unintentional hitting of underground lines, pipes, leading to penalties, repair costs, inconvenient outages, and injury or death. And whereas the Washington 811 one-call service notifies the appropriate utility companies of the intent of the dig. And a couple more here. Whereas the one-call center dispatches professional locators to the requested digging area to mark the approximate location of the underground lines, safely alerting the dig crews to the danger below. And whereas all residents and professional excavators are required by the dig law to call 811 at least 2 days before they dig. There, now for I, J. Ensley, Governor of the State of Washington, do hereby proclaim April as Safe Digging Month.
All right.
Yes. So, and there is one little change here I see now that I've read the governor's proclamation.
Did he sneak something in there?
Well, it says the call center will dispatch professional locators to the requested. It's actually the utilities themselves. Each one of the utilities will take care of their own lines the way they feel is best.
Right.
So it's not the call center.
And they really work on it fast too. Within 2 days after the initial application, if you will, of the form. Right.
The day of the call doesn't count, and then 2 business days.
Yeah, that's really pretty quick. So
it is.
If you're going to be doing something, you can plan more than 3 days in advance.
Yeah.
Come on, you know.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
Kathy, thank you for coming. And I know you got busy days and everything else, and we'll have you back on as we move through the spring and summer, because especially after filing time for the politicians.
That would be good.
We need to remind them.
Yes,
okay?
Thank you very much. All right.
Thanks, and you have a good day. We'll see you next Tuesday at noon right here on Spokane Talks Live. Have a great week, everybody.
Spokane Talks Live is produced in Spokane, Washington by Spokane Talks Online, LLC, which is solely responsible for its content. To recommend a guest or topic, or to see this program again, please visit our website, SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Spokane Talks Live is brought to you by our friends at Homes for You and Breakthrough Incorporated. Join us next Wednesday, noon, for another nourishing conversation on Spokane Talks Live.